Earl's fam, how are you guys doing? Man, we are so excited to be making this video with you guys because
we are finally telling the story of how we met, which we detailed all in our book, but we thought we would share it with you guys today. Of course, we won't go into all the nitty-gritty details, but we'll give you some of the good stuff.
Man, this is gonna be fun. So how are we kicking this thing off? Am I gonna start off?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh,
Let's
man.
take us back in time. Where were you at and what was going on in your life?
Time ago, there was a boy named Harold. And so I was at West Point, all right? So I was doing all things military training. I was going into my yuck year, right? Yes, my yuck year. It's my sophomore year in college. And I was just loving the military academy. It was a love-hate relationship, but I was learning a lot. Honestly, learning a lot about myself, a lot about my faith, a lot about becoming just a better person and leader and soldier. And that was kind of where I was at in life.
Where were you, like, relationally, though? Like, were
Single.
you single? I, at the time, was a junior in college, and I was a year ahead of Harold, and I had been through some heartbreak previously, which I go a little bit more into detail in the book, but I kind of thought for a while I wasn't gonna meet the person that I was gonna end up with, but I was okay. So I was pretty content being single, actually. I mean, I was really just pursuing the Lord with everything that I had.
I had always felt like, as far as like what I thought about meeting, you know, my someday wife, you know, because I think that's something that everyone, like including you sitting there, if you haven't found your special someone, has thought about. Is like,
True. What
is that future person going to be? What are they going to look like? I had no idea. I kind of thought that she was going to be blonde. I don't know why.
Nope.
Not a redhead.
Did not happen.
I don't know why, because you like try to like, can you like vision like what it would be, and it's like obviously impossible.
Yeah.
But I just had this feeling that it was going to be quick, that I would know right away, which totally was just me being a young 22-year-old kid, or 20, not even a while, like 20-year-old kid.
No, I felt the exact same way. I always felt like when I meet the person, I'll know.
Which isn't true for everyone, right? I mean, there's people that it could be your best friend that you end up falling in love with, you know?
For sure.
For me, I just felt like, man, I had come across a lot of people, and I feel like I could tell pretty quickly, like, nope. Even when I dated girls, it was like, you know, I could tell pretty quickly, like, hey, I just don't think this is going to work out, you know? And so I just felt that. And so
how did our paths cross? Because you were up in New York and I was down in Florida.
Yeah, long ways away. Long ways away. So I have a best friend. His name is Tommy. He is in the book. And he's still my best friend to this day. And so he had always been like, hey, man, you need to meet my cousin Rachel. She is awesome, and she's a redhead. And he's like, let me show you a picture. And I was like, dude, I'm just not into redheads.
Like, how dare you? Who says that?
I don't know. I just didn't think I liked redheads at the time.
But the funny thing is that Tommy never told me anything about Harold. Like, I literally had no idea who he was. Tommy never told me that he was telling his friend about me. This was something that he had like concocted in his own mind.
And joke's on me now, because I now have married a redhead. I have a redheaded son. I have a redheaded dog. We're redheads all up in here.
All the redheads.
But so anyway, so he's like, man, I gotta show you a picture of her. And I was like, nah, no thanks. And this went on for some time. And then eventually we were actually in the car. I'll never forget. It's interesting how some moments stick with you in time, you know? And so we're driving in the car. My mom's in the front seat driving. I don't know. We were coming back from something.
It was like a holiday.
Yeah.
We were visiting
oh, yeah. So I was home. Yeah. Because we didn't get leave much at West Point. It was only like, we get like 3-day weekends every now and then, or 4-day weekends. And I would go home. And so we're driving back. Tommy's in the back seat. I'm sitting in the front seat. And he just like brought the phone and was like, dude, here. And
like, what picture was it? Do you remember?
I don't know. You had red hair though. I remember that. But I remember seeing you, and I was just like, oh my gosh. You know, it's like one of those things, like when I'm like, first of all, I look back, immediately I remember turning back, I'm like, Tommy, why the heck have you not shown me her sooner? Like, who cares what I said? Like, you need to like put this in front of you, because she's honestly incredible and beautiful. So from then on, I was like googly-eyed immediately just by seeing her picture.
That's so funny. And like I said, didn't say anything to me. And so one day, I'm up in college. I was living in my sorority house at the time, and I get a Facebook request. And at that time, I was really skeptical about like adding people into my life. I wasn't like public about my life on the internet.
Hold on, so let me stop you right there.
Okay.
So Tommy, he was like, hey man, so we're like, all right, so what's the game plan for how do I, start talking to your cousin, because she is beautiful. And so he's like, hey man, don't worry about it. I'm gonna like talk to her. I'm sure she already knows who you are, because like I obviously like knew his family really, really well. Just by like nature of being best friends with him and going to a lot of like family functions and stuff. She's like, I'm sure she knows who you are. I'll make sure I like, talk to her and talk to her mom, and everyone's gonna like know. So that way it'll kind of like, pave the way for you. So like an army would call like prepping the battlefield. So it's like, all right, cool. Like, all right, I'll just message her. She'll like kind of expect it. So it'll kind of be easier. So
So I get this friend request from Harold Lloyd Earls the Fourth, or just Harold Earls the Fourth, I guess. Harold Earls the Fourth, which I'm like, who is Harold? I don't know who this person is. So
she thought it was a weird name, by the way.
I did. Nobody's named Harold nowadays, or the Fourth. So I click on his friends, to see our mutual friends, and it's just my family members. So I instantly thought, oh, he's just like an extended cousin of mine, because we have a pretty big family. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll accept him. So I accepted him and just went on with my day.
Obviously, Tommy did not talk to her. So I go along my way thinking, okay, nice, accepted the friend request. All right, this is going like we planned. Tommy's got my back. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to send her a Facebook message. So I spent a lot of time Microsoft Word, draft messages, erasing draft messages, and I crafted a pretty clever message. It's in the book. I'm not going to share it here. And it worked, sort of.
So he sends me this message. I'm not sure I would say it was clever. It was interesting, but I was intrigued, and so I messaged him right away. Thinking back, I think I like must have just kind of known because of just the way that it was. It was like this instant, like, I feel like something is going on, even like right away. Like, I don't know why. Something
going on is like, I thought it would be like odd for you at first, because you're like, what is my cousin doing? It wasn't just
a like, hey, I'm just saying hey type of thing. You could tell there was more intention there. And so I was definitely intrigued, because I'm like, who is this person? Why is he like interested in me, And so I did a little stalking, checked out his pictures.
Oh, so did I. Oh, yeah. You go hard in the paint, stalking, looking at all the pictures. Go back to like 2012. You're like, it's weird that I'm probably looking at her in 9th grade,
I did not have a Facebook back then.
I know. I'm just
Maybe
kidding.
I did, actually. I don't know. Anyways, I'm pretty sure your Facebook profile picture was a picture of him without a shirt on, holding a stick with like it on fire.
Yeah, it was in a cave.
You're in a cave.
I thought it was such a cool picture. I maybe I can find that and throw it up here. I thought it was such a cool picture.
I was like, okay, he's adventurous. I like that. So I keep looking at his other pictures, and
I have one holding up a snake. I killed a snake in basic training.
Yeah, I don't remember if I saw that back then, but I saw some baseball pictures, because he played baseball at West Point.
I remember seeing some things on her on Facebook, and it was like kisses for the troops, and I was like, hey, I'm a troop. That's I can dig that. I was like, all right, girl.
So I saw he did baseball, and I thought he looked really cute in his uniform. Then I did a little more stalking, because I noticed he was in the Army, and I was like, oh, well, this is a big deal, if, I don't really know anything about the Army or the military. And then I clicked through and I saw some pictures of you and some students, like some elementary school students in their uniform.
Yeah, I went and spoke to some like first grade students.
Yeah, I know that now. But I was like, oh, wow, like that's so great. Like he likes kids. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of like really interested. It's funny you were talking about how, you think about the person that you're going to end up with. Mm-hmm. I feel like when I saw you, it was almost like I never had that image, but it almost was like, oh, this is like familiar in a way.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Like maybe you kind of did fit that profile that I had in my mind.
It's hard for me because like I think sometimes a fault that people make is they do create this like checklist, and if they don't meet everything in that checklist, our pastor talked about that once, right? If you don't meet everything in that checklist, then it's like, oh, well, you just like move on, and I don't think that's fair to anyone, because you create this, idyllic person that doesn't exist. I don't know if I had like, I always like kind of envision it, but I never had like, okay, it has to be these qualities. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I want to be a person of faith and, and a God-fearing woman. But like, other than that, I was like, I didn't really know, like, and so what was crazy is then after that message, how quick things went though.
Really fast, you guys. Things just like took off from there. So where do we pick up next? Like what part of the story should we tell?
Man, so it started with a message, and then after that, it went to a phone call.
We
messaged for a little bit, some really ridiculous details in there, but we ended up getting on the phone with each other. And honestly, that is where everything changed for us. That is when it became incredibly clear.
Very
of just
clear.
like, oh my gosh, this is it.
This
so,
is my person.
to give a little bit of context, so I can kind of share like visuals. Like the first time I called her, we kind of had planned to talk, and
No, we did not have plans to talk. You called me out of the blue.
Yeah, I had plans to talk.
Okay.
I didn't share the plans, but of course.
Okay. This was like, I want to say it was like maybe a week, maybe a week and a half after like we first started messaging.
Yeah, it was fast.
It was fast.
Fast, crazy fast. So I had plans to talk. And so I went out, I played baseball at West Point, and so I remember like walking around the bases, like at the field at night, and I called her, and you want to share your side?
Well, I don't want to share too much because it's all in the book.
Basically, we ended up talking for over 6 hours, and it was life-changing. Our priorities like lined up. I think that's what was like one of the clearest things is like we realized when we talked about this is like we were running that same race together, and we realized that on the phone. And that's a really incredibly powerful thing is when you realize that the person that you're talking to and that you're falling in love with is like, oh my gosh, like I've been running this race in life my whole life, and then it's like I look over and I'm like, oh hey there girl, like we're running that way too, and it's like that is powerful and that is cool.
Yeah, it really was. It was really God's perfect timing because we were in the right place at the right time in our lives. You know, if it had been a little bit earlier, maybe I still would have been dealing with my heartbreak. Maybe Harold would have been too busy with school stuff to really give me that time and attention to develop a relationship. So I always attribute that to just perfect timing.
Yeah, there's one thing that I wanted to read. This is from the book, and I want to read this one part, and it's describing Rachel, because I talked about earlier, like, not really knowing, like, what my wife was going to be, you know, and it's kind of, like, unexpected. And so I said, little did I know God had someone for me who far exceeded any princess I could have dreamed of. Instead, she was an everyday, sweatpants-wearing, brownie-loving, strong, independent, God-fearing woman. She didn't wear makeup often. She rarely woke up before 9 in the morning. And her car was usually missing a hubcap. But man, did I fall head over heels for her. And fast.
So fast. Yeah, so that was that. That was a phone call.
Phone call, but there's more because we haven't met in person. Which, holy butterflies.
Because we were long distance. Our whole relationship until we got married was long distance. And so I originally thought we might meet because I had a sorority function coming up. A little context, so I think that those first messages happened in September, and
of 2012.
My sorority thing was in November. So I had asked him to come be my date at my sorority function. And mind you, at the time, so I'm telling my friends about him, and they're thinking I am nuts. Like,
well, one of them asked you if it was like fishing is a real thing. Like you have to be careful. I remember us having a phone conversation about that. I'm like, no, I'm a real person. I'm not 65. I promise. Like, you know.
Yeah, my friends were like I'm so happy for you, but like, this is kind of crazy. Like, you're acting like you really, really like him. You've never met him.
He technically only has 34 pictures on Facebook. You could probably, you know, how do we know this is real? Like,
so that was kind of interesting. So I was like, well, okay, you know, we'll meet. Then my friends can meet you.
I'm over here sending like, you know, like how they send like videos with the newspaper so they know that it's current, you know, like I'm a real person. Here's the date. Like,
that's funny. And so then Harold had a whole other plan, actually.
Scheming over here.
About surprising me early. He talked to my two best friends and came up with a whole plan.
I did.
Did you forget the plan?
No. I do remember it. Man, yeah, wow. It's so crazy to like, go back and relive those moments because like there's things that just like permeate in your mind that are so real. So like, I'll never forget, like, I was like, man, what friend should I message of hers? You know, like, how am I...
yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah. Why did you even do what you did? You know?
I don't know.
I guess probably because us talking and you knowing, like, who my close friends were.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, because you had several close friends. So it's like, why did I end up choosing, you know? And it's like...
that's so interesting.
I ended up choosing... Lauren was one of her really good friends.
My sorority.
What's crazy is because that same day that I chose to go and surprise her, I landed at the airport and Lauren picked me up because obviously I was surprising her. Well, she also was with her boyfriend, Greg, who they are now married as well.
Yeah.
which is crazy. And they had literally just started dating. Like, just started dating.
I met her boyfriend at the time, who's now her husband, the same day I met Harold.
The same moment in time that we met. Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Which planning on my end wasn't great because, so what happened is, we drive to where she was. I had lied and told her that we were going, Lauren had lied and told you that we were going to the beach, or that you were going to the beach.
Morgan. I was at
All
my
these
friend,
friends, whatever.
yeah, 2 of my friends. I was at my friend Morgan's house, and she had told me that we were going to go to the beach that weekend. Her parents had a beach place, and I was like, oh, this is so fun. And I literally was picking out swimsuits, taking pictures in them, sending them to
and I'm
Harold.
like, I appreciate the bathing suit site, but
That's so embarrassing.
good, cool.
Like, which one should I take?
I'm
you
like,
know?
ooh, definitely the blue one.
I remember even like taking a selfie before I drove over there in the car and sending it to you. It's so funny, like those things. So I go over there and it's midnight. Harold had told me he was hanging out with his guys in New York City, so he probably wasn't going to be able to talk until later because we talked every day.
I made a mistake though.
What? I don't remember.
The picture?
No, that was when you proposed.
You're right, I'm a man. I get details mixed up.
Yeah, anyways. The proposal story is also in the book. That was the proposal.
Yeah, I screwed up the proposal.
There's
Whatever.
a lot of surprises in our life. But, so we stayed up late. Lauren had told me that she was going to come over and bring Greg so that we could meet him. And so we're like, okay. So we're hanging out on the couch. And then she walks in the door with Greg. And right before that, Harold had finally called me, and I was excited to talk to him, started talking to him, like maybe one sentence in when Lauren walks in the door. And so I'm immediately, what?
I was going to say, well, what happened is I didn't really think, one, she would be meeting Greg for the first time.
Yeah.
So, like, one of her best friends walks in the door as I'm talking to her. Because I'm like, hey, you guys go in first, right? I don't want this weird moment of, like, I'm walking in with you guys. I want my own moment, you know? So,
Yeah, cool.
right? I mean, right? It's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to, like, walk in away because it's like, oh, who do I hug first? It's kind of weird. Like, oh, Greg, hey, I'm meeting this guy. So, you guys walk in, have your moment. But I was on the phone with you.
You know what's so weird remembering that moment now? I don't even remember meeting Greg or hugging him. Or Lauren even walking in the door. I only remember you walking in the door.
Yeah.
Okay, back up.
It would be a little weird if you remembered all the details of hugging Greg. I would have questions.
It's just funny I don't remember that. So I think because I remember sitting on the couch. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm on the phone with you. I think they walk in the door. And I'm still talking to you. And I'm trying to be like, hey, I gotta go. I need to talk to them.
Yeah, I'm out literally right outside the door, you guys. And she's like, hey, I'm going to have to call you back. I'm sorry I can't talk. And I'm like, what? Like, this is not according to my plan. You don't tell me you gotta go when I'm 6 feet away from you outside your door.
And so he was kind of getting a little weird, which I was not liking because I was like, I gotta go, dude. Like, I'll call you back, you know, because I didn't want to be rude. And so right when I said that, he's like, why would you call me back when I'm already here? And walks through the door.
And what happened was there was like a beams of light that came behind me, and it was like, oh, hello.
Oh my gosh, no.
No, we all just broke down into tears, started crying and hugging. You were
Not exactly, but
you were totally crying.
But yeah, it was just, that was the moment. And then even from then, it just went so fast. It was like, boom, you know, here's my person. And the rest was history.
The rest was history. So
I mean, there's a lot of funny more stories that happen, obviously.
yeah, and honestly, like, what's crazy, so the book, we share about some of that in, like, the first 1 or 2 chapters, but then really where our story really, I feel like we grew in our relationship is once we got married, because that's when we really faced a lot of our challenges and stuff. So, like, our love was very, very fast, and honestly an incredibly beautiful thing with a lot of twists and turns. But I think where this story in regards to, like, the book comes to life is then doing Everest in the first year of our marriage, going to Ranger School, right? And all of those things.
Because we really came together, especially even thinking like long distance wise. We were so separate. So when we got married, we literally, everything came together.
Yeah.
I mean, our time was together. Everything that we did, we became a military family was together. You know, like we faced everything together then on out.
Yeah, and what's really cool, so I don't want to dive too much into the book, but it is very beautiful, like how those stories were intertwined. I think it's really cool. I really do think God has like written this in some ways. You know what I mean? Because he wrote like our love story, but then
absolutely
obviously like guided our hands, because I do think that it turned into a very beautiful thing, how those stories are intertwined, how our love story intertwines with climbing Everest and doing something dangerous and coming together. Woo! Amazing. So You guys need to check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope
Get
you
a
enjoyed
coffee.
it. June 2nd. Holy cow. We got some big things coming. You guys are not going to miss it. If you haven't ordered it, you definitely want to order it. We got some big things coming. We love you guys.
Love God, love people, make a difference, and be thankful. Love you guys. Bye.
You make me crazy in a good way. So come on, baby, let's talk. Let's talk about love.